Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden warship as it cuts through black Arctic waters, ice grinding against the hull like the teeth of some ancient beast. The wind howls through the rigging with a sound that could freeze your very soul, and every breath you take burns your lungs with cold so intense it feels like swallowing shards of glass. The architecture of survival, building warmth into wood. The ancient shipwrights understood something fundamental that modern survivalists still practice today. Insulation begins with structure. When Viking longships pushed northward, or when 19th-century bomb vessels like the Erebus and Terror were refitted for polar exploration, builders didn't simply construct boats. They created floating survival shelters. The hulls were laid with timber so thick that your fist couldn't span a single plank, each layer acting as a barrier against the sucking cold of the Arctic Sea. Between these wooden walls, craftsmen would pack cork, oakum soaked in tar, and even layers of felt made from compressed wool, creating dead air spaces that trapped precious heat, much like the insulation in a modern sleeping bag. The principle was ancient and universal. Still air is the best insulator nature provides, and these shipbuilders captured it within their vessels' very bones. Fire in a wooden world controlled combustion at sea. Bringing fire aboard a wooden ship might seem like madness, yet it was essential survival craft executed with deadly precision. The galley stove became the beating heart of warmth, a carefully tended coal or wood-fired forge enclosed in brick and iron, surrounded by sandboxes and water barrels for instant fire suppression. Sailors learned to read their stove like a living thing, knowing exactly how much fuel to feed it to maintain heat, without creating the roaring blaze that could turn their sanctuary into a floating pyre. The smoke was managed through carefully designed flues that snaked through the lower decks before venting above. And in this seemingly simple system lay sophisticated understanding of thermodynamics and airflow. When ships became locked in ice for months at a time, crews would insulate their vessel further by piling snow against the exterior hull, transforming their wooden ship into something resembling an igloo, using the Arctic's own weapon against itself. The fabric of warmth, fieldcraft worn on the body. Clothing was really the second skin that meant survival, and sailors treated it with the reverence it deserved. Wool became their primary armor against the cold because of its unique ability to retain warmth even when soaked with seawater or sweat, a property that, honestly, synthetic materials have only recently managed to replicate. Beneath their outer layers, men wore what they called slops, loose-fitting wool garments that trapped air and allowed moisture to wick away from the skin. Over this came oiled canvas or animal hides treated with fat, creating a windproof and water-resistant barrier that let them work on ice-slicked decks without succumbing to hypothermia. Their boots were stuffed with sennegrass, a sedge that compressed minimally and maintained its insulating properties even when wet, a technique indigenous peoples had used for thousands of years, and one that, interestingly, modern winter survivalists have rediscovered. Every evening these garments were inspected, mended and dried near the galley stove in a ritual as important as any navigation check because, well, a torn seam or wet sock could lead to frostbite, gangrene and amputation. The sailors who survived Arctic voyages didn't conquer the cold. They learned to live within it, to respect it, and to use every scrap of fieldcraft knowledge passed down through generations. Their techniques weren't born from desperation, but from observation, adaptation, and an intimate understanding of how materials, fire, and human resilience could work in harmony. Today, As we prepare our bug-out bags and practice bushcraft in comfortable forests, we're following in the wake of these frozen pioneers who proved that knowledge, not technology, is the ultimate survival tool. Their legacy reminds us that preparedness isn't about having the latest gear. It's about understanding principles that have kept humans alive for millennia. If this journey into maritime survival has sparked something in you, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and share this video with others who understand that history isn't just about the past, it's a manual for the future. The old ways aren't obsolete, they're essential.